Welcome back to the news at 10. The Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Mr. Emekamba, says the Commission will switch off all analog broadcast transmission in Plateau State within the next 60 days. Mr. Mba told journalists in Abuja that the state has achieved 90% switch from analog to digital broadcasting and will start the complete run from Jos, the Plateau State capital. The NBC boss said all efforts are geared towards ensuring that full digitization takes off in Nigeria by January 2015.
I'm very glad to report this morning that in Plateau State we have achieved 90% digital coverage over the whole of Plateau State. Indeed, that is significant because what this means is that in the next few weeks we will indeed see a total 100% digital coverage over the whole of Plateau State, which is important because those are some of the specifications you must reach before you switch off analog totally. So we are hopeful that maybe in the next 30 to 60 days, given the availability of set-top boxes, we should be able to switch off all the analog TV services in Plateau State.
Nigerian Breweries PLC and the African Artists Foundation have announced the 12 finalists for the 7th Annual National Art Competition at a presentation ceremony held in Lagos. This year's team, tagged Interventions, examines how contemporary art serves as a catalyst for positive change in society. The winner of this year's competition will take away 2 million naira and a brand new car. Our correspondent Orolu Ashonibare reports.
Ladies and gentlemen.
For the 7th year running, Nigerian Breweries and the African Artists Foundation have been supporting artistic creativity. And this successful partnership has brought this crowd together in Lagos.
The National Arts Competition aims to promote the conceptual development of contemporary art in Nigeria, with the mission of raising awareness on relevant social issues through the use of creative artistic expression.
It's the introduction of the 12 finalists who have displayed exceptional creativity to connect with this year's theme tagged Intervention.
Interventions explores how contemporary art serves as a catalyst for positive social change, engaging artists to think about their relationship.
The theme is very apt for the state of the nation. So there's so many problems that I think that we have in the country, and I think politicians have tried, intellectuals have tried. I think it's time for artists to be given a chance to tackle our social problems.
And those who have been down the same road pass on words of wisdom.
I also would like to advocate that this event be made bigger later. I can see it growing. This wasn't the way it was 7 years ago. And I can see it catapulting into an event that will be so international that will promote our culture and tourism in Nigeria.
For the chosen, it's a big feat to have reached this stage.
It feels really nice to be part of the competition because it has broadened my mind, my horizon, and then it has made me put a lot more into my thought process and towards creating my art.
I'm excited about the opportunity that I'll be getting from this because it's rare in Nigeria you find a platform in this way, so I am thankful for this opportunity.
These 12 contestants are indeed grateful to Nigerian Breweries and the African Artists Foundation for this opportunity. Orolu Ashonibare, Channels Television News.
First Bank.
Good evening. Welcome to Business News. I am Adeshewa Josh. Nigeria may have lost $5 to $7 billion since the outbreak of the Ebola virus disease in the country. And this is according to the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Mr. Bismarck Rwane. Earlier today, Mr. Rwane explained the economic cost of the Ebola scare.
I would say that consequential loss at this point in time is anything between could be as much as $5 to $7 billion. And when you take that, remember that $5 billion is 1% of GDP. It could go as high as 3% of GDP, which I would say it could get to $15 billion if nothing is done. The immediate cost is insignificant compared to the economic size of Nigeria. in terms of the people that have the casualties, which are highly trained, highly difficult to replace. So you can't really measure that, right? But what's important is that because of fear, because of panic, because of frustration, a lot of activities have come to some kind of static equilibrium, in the sense that people are just not doing anything. So when you had a dynamic economy, all of a sudden you have this.
In the meantime, Nigeria's external reserves as of today have grown by $865.36 million to $39.58 billion, as against $38.72 billion recorded in the same period last month. This is the latest of data from the Central Bank of Nigeria website, and financial analysts say this can be attributed to slow drawdowns by the Apex Bank to defend the currency. That's the Naira. Since the beginning of the month, there has been a steady increase in the reserves from $39.36 billion. At this time last year, the country's reserves were $46.97 billion. With a bright outlook for facilities management business in Nigeria, the gross domestic products of the country can enjoy more contributions from the sector. Well, this is according to an expert, Mr. Femi Akintude, who explains that Nigeria needs to start cultivating the culture of proper high-rise building maintenance. He also said that if the awareness on facilities management is increased, the sector has the capacity to attract more foreign direct investments into the economy.
If we look at the standard of maintenance for buildings and infrastructure generally, is low at the moment. We build, but we don't put sufficient emphasis on the maintenance of what we build. We expect that facility management contributes about 5% of the GDP. That's the standard worldwide in most of the advanced countries. But right here in Nigeria, there's nothing close to that. Facility management has a very, very strategic importance to the development of the economy and the attraction of foreign direct investment, to the real estate sector, to the infrastructure sector, and to the business environment generally.
The negative sentiment continued at the Nigeria equities market. Key indicators shared 0.49%. Temple Ashaju joins us now with the facts and figures.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The negative sentiment continued at the Nigerian equities market on Friday as investors sell off for profits. With depreciations by 0.49%, the all-share index closed down at 41,564.19, while the market capitalization finished at 13.72 trillion naira. The top decliner for the day was Forte Oil, which dropped 6 naira 80 kobo in its share price. Investors also showed less interest in Nigerian breweries and, of course, Mobil Oil. The top picks for the session were MRS Oil, Berger Paints, and Ashaka Cement. Resort Savings and Loan, Access Bank, and Transcorp were the top 3 active equities for the day. When the closing bell rang, investors had in 3,939 deals exchanged over 174 million units of shares for 1.45 billion naira. And that's it on the Stock Market Report. I am Temple Ashaju.
Thanks a lot, Temple. And finally, on Business News Tonight, oil prices are headed for a second weekly loss, pressured by easing geopolitical risk and higher global oil supply. Now, October Brent crude dropped 10 cents to $102.53 per barrel, while U.S. crude was down 12 cents at $93.84 per barrel. U.S. crude production has reached the highest in 28 years. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, pumped more oil in July despite conflicts in the Middle East and Africa. In the meantime, Libya is gradually ramping up its oil production after reopening several eastern ports. The country's oil production has risen to 612,000 barrels per day compared to 100,000 barrels per day seen earlier this year. And that's Business News Tonight. We'll leave you with closing figures from major markets around the world.
First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, South Africa names young squad for next month's 2015 AFCON qualifiers against Nigeria. That's on Sports News. Please stay with us.